What's going on, guys? My name is Oais Raza, and this is the very first episode of Crushing It, a podcast dedicated to inspiring young individuals to pursue their passion by showcasing other individuals who are doing exactly that. Again, I'm your host, Oais Raza, and today I have a very special guest. You might have seen him all over social media, and he's basically become a UT sensation over the past year, Ariea Bastami. Thank you so much for coming out, man.
Thank you for having me, bro.
Okay, so I want to get right into it. So
Sure.
About a year ago we met and, we talked about social media, how you're blowing up on Twitter and whatnot. You were around 3,000 to 4,000 followers, right?
A little bit, right? Yeah, like 3,000. Maybe a little bit less at that point.
Oh, yeah, definitely. So
Yeah.
we did talk about that. And so now you're sitting around 10.4K. So what changed?
I wouldn't say anything changed necessarily. I think it was something that became habitual. It was just routine. Like, I was like, all right, it's growing slowly but surely, I think the word you and I used redundantly in our first conversation was just organic. It's all organic, organic.
Yeah.
And that's the word that you were like, I love it organic. We got to keep it organic. I'm like, yeah, dude, I love it. But it was just something I continuously did.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, okay, well, this is working. I'm slowly growing, but it's something that I enjoy doing because it makes it feel very natural.
Mm-hmm.
It gives it that sense of authenticity, if you will. Because I always believe in the thought of the quicker you come into something, the faster you come out of it.
Yeah.
So if you build and build and build and have this base, if you will, it becomes much easier to sustain that. Whereas if you pop off in a night, who knows how long you're really going to have
because
any
you could have like your
success.
15-minute moment and then that's it, right?
Exactly.
So talk about that process. What did that look like week by week? Because as I saw it, kind of looking back, it's like one blur, right? Like it just kept on coming and then you just kept on growing. So what did that process look like for you?
It was just writing, man. It was whatever really hit me, because at first I wasn't creating my own music. I mean, I would make beats every now and again, but I wasn't creating anything that was original to me. So I would just listen to beats that I really enjoyed from like prominent artists, and I'd be like, man, this beat really hit hard. So I'd write something to it.
Yeah.
And it would go to weeks on end where maybe I wasn't writing, or in 1 week I'd write 4 to 5 things. So it just, as continuous as I try to keep it and make it like a routine, make it like, all right, every week at this time I'll do it, or every week at this time I do it, it eventually grew into something where I was like, that doesn't make it as good. It doesn't it doesn't make it as pure. So I had to wait for like a beat to really affect me in a certain way to write, or evoke some sort of emotion for me to be like, all right, this is a lot better of a body of work than when it isn't. So that it was really more like that. It was just whenever a beat would hit me, I'm like, the bass on this one is game time.
I feel that.
I just start writing.
That. So is that kind of why you transitioned from like, using other artists' beats to now you have like your own producers and like you kind of get music from your friends? So is that kind of why you transitioned to make it more authentic to yourself?
I mean, that's a very good question, but I wouldn't say that yet. I wouldn't say that necessarily, because I still think there's a lot of growth, a lot of development that I need to work on personally for myself. So I think my best way of doing that, it's like the off season, if you will, or like training. You don't necessarily use the same things you use in the game. You use things to help you prepare for a game. So it's like I'm still using other instrumentals from prominent artists. Shout out Cardi B.
Yeah.
Her song Money, like that, it's a great beat. So I'm like, I was writing to that literally last night. So I'm like, oh my god, this beat's ridiculous.
So do you do that often? Like, do you like we all see like the finished product, right? We see you choose a beat and you just like go off on it. So do you like choose a bunch of different beats and then like every day you're writing different raps to it, or do you really just wait to find that one beat, write to it, and then produce it and send it out?
Sometimes I'd say it's a combination of both. Because sometimes I'll write like 4 or 5 things in the day.
Yeah.
And I scrap all of them because I'm like, that was terrible. And then sometimes in like, it'll take a couple days, but I really feel like this is a good product that I have, whether it be the wordplay, the flow, whatever it is that I'm using, that I'm like, man, I think people will really like this. And I'll wait on that and develop it a little bit more, rather than something that I do in like obviously 4 tracks in a day. That's not comparable to be good. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely.
So
I do want to get into, you talk a lot about, you do a lot of analogies with like sports and whatnot to what you're doing. And I know that you're very much into the sports,
Culture,
area. In the culture. So I'm going to get into that, but I first want to go into a really like prominent question, and that's like, where did this all start? So I saw the dorm room raps, talk to you about it. I've seen, you know, a lot of prominent people retweet your stuff. So I kind of want to clear up that myth of what exactly like started all of this.
Okay, so you're referencing like the Twitter stuff, correct?
Yeah, the Twitter stuff.
So it was in the dorm. It was in the dorm.
Yeah.
So that's where it really started. It was,
but more of like, sorry for that, but like more of like, I don't want to know, like I know obviously that the dorm room raps kind of started it all off, right? But did you like have a lot of raps before like one popped off, or was it you sent one out? And
it was just, I did one, Damian Lillard, which is my favorite basketball player, quoted it. And then after I saw that, because I was even hesitant to do the NBA rap.
Yeah.
It really was, it was something that I had written like 2 or 3 days before it was done, like before I had posted it to Twitter, and I was like, man, I don't know if I should post this, like, I don't know if it's good, I don't know like how I feel about it, and then I did it from one of my friends whose dorm it was, Mehul, that was his dorm.
Yeah.
And so, I did it for him. He's like, dude, you gotta post this. I was like, really? He's like, yeah. So I just did it, and then I spent like $30 at the PCL to print all those pictures in color. I spent $30 at the PCL, and at that point I was like, all right, I've committed to this. Like, I have to do it, because $30 in equivalency as a college student is $100 million. I don't care what anyone tells me. So at that point I committed, and I did it, and then it got some traction. And I was like, all right, well, maybe there is something there, because I'd written for a long time, obviously prior to that. It wasn't just that was my first rap ever. I'd written for a long time prior to that, but getting that kind of recognition from someone I hold to such a high regard, I was like, okay, well, this has got to mean something.
So when I saw like the rap though, you know, like you did the pictures and everything, I was like, wow, this guy's like creative as hell, right? Like that's not something that you just come up with on the spot. So were there a lot of like videos and like rap videos that you created that weren't released like before like you actually ended up creating that one?
Yeah, embarrassingly, yes. Yeah, I mean, for a long time, I'd always like, you know, you just, what's that phrase with spaghetti, or I don't even know if that's a phrase, but to tell if a noodle is good, you throw it at the wall and see what sticks, and if the noodle sticks, it's good. So I would literally throw stuff at the wall and see what stuck, and sometimes it was good, sometimes it wasn't. A lot of that I did retain and keep to myself, because it was, I wouldn't say it was an esteem issue, but it was just a thing for me where I was like, okay, well, I don't know if people will really like this, or what if people think, oh my God, Ariea raps? Like, that's kind of weird. You know what I mean? That was the thing for me, where I'd hold it back to myself until it got to that NBA one, because sports is such a great
hook.
Not only a great hook, but a great way to diffuse a lot of things that make, because like I'm rapping in it, but you're not paying attention to the rap, you're paying attention to the sports, or what I'm rapping about, which is sports. And so that's what I really started it off on, was like, okay, well, I'll just do the sports raps, because I was like, oh, that's creative, he's a sports journalist, like, oh, it makes sense. And then boom, I was like, yeah, I can also rap. So that's really what it was.
Okay, and so how does like, so you did bring up like journalism, right? And you're a sports journalist, so how did that kind of play into what you do now?
Everything, because I love to write. Like, that's just something, since I was young, it was like almost an innate thing in me to like write, pick up a pencil and write stuff. And it wasn't always raps necessarily. It would just be like things that I'd observe, you know. And so that's where it really started, is I would write every single day. And then once I started being introduced into hip hop, that's where I was like, okay, well, let me see if I can do this too. And so like, that's really where it springboarded off into hip hop and writing music.
Okay. So let's like, so we've like gone through, you started off in the dorm, you did the rap, Damian Lillard retweeted it, that's where it all started off. Yeah. And now you're getting like all this support from, you know, all the sports teams on campus. Like Sam Illinger, you mentioned in an interview, reached out to you and said, hey, do this rap about UT. So getting all this support from people that you kind of, you know, you look up to, like as a person that goes to UT, you kind of look up to these people, they represent your school, right? Absolutely. So how did that feel, kind of getting support from like Tom Herman and like all of these people just put together?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely something that for me at first, when I was going through that moment, like that episode with Texas football and working with them, it did not feel real. Like when I was telling my friends, because like Listen, shout out to Texas football, man. But they were like, when we were doing this stuff with them, they were like, it was like going into the freaking Pentagon. Like, they're very, very like, you cannot tell anybody you're doing this until we like, it was crazy. But I was like, I had to tell somebody, because I'm like, dude, I'm working with Texas football. So I texted my girlfriend, and I was like, dude, you have no idea where I was. And it was just the craziest thing. It just felt so surreal. And you're walking through the hallway and you see the banners, the championships, and all this lore that surrounds Texas and its sports program that's been coveted for so long.
Okay.
And I just don't feel like it's real, because like growing up, I'm watching this stuff, and to be walking in the same hallway Ricky Williams is walking down, or the same hallway that, Michael Griffin is walking down, you're like, what the hell is going on? And so like that's what it was for me. So at first it didn't feel real. But then as it started to progress and a little bit more notoriety came my way, I was like, damn, like these are just a bunch of people doing things that they love to do, just like I love to do what I love to do. Yeah. And to get that recognition from them is fantastic, and it's great to see that, like, if you work hard and you continuously pursue what you want, things can start going your way. But even then, like, I mean, these are people, like you said, that represent the school to such a high standard. Yeah. And so for me to work with them, it's just unreal.
Yeah, this is an unrelated question, okay? So about a few weeks back, I also met, like, a pretty popular YouTuber here on campus. He like, goes in Arizona. His name's Angry Picnic. I just met him in the PCL, right? And after you meet these kinds of people, what I personally felt was that you kind of realize that it's like they're people as well, right? Like it's not that there's nothing special about them. You obviously admire everything they're doing, right? But it's like it becomes you kind of humanize them, right? And it makes it a lot more possible for you to do something that they're doing as well.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more.
So did you feel like that when you started meeting all of these football players and basketball players?
Yeah, without a doubt. I think what really sticks with me now, and the thing that I always think about in myself to kind of like ease my mind of being like, wow, I'm like talking with these people or working with these people, the thing that eases my my headspace on all of this is like, don't look so much at the person, look at the work behind the person that makes them who they are. Yeah. So like for me, when I was first talking to Kerwin Roach, like he was the first player that I ever met here on campus. He's a basketball player here. Yeah. And when I first met him, dude, I was fanboying. I'm like, Kerwin, like he had just came back off of injury, dropped 25 points. I'm like, can we get a picture? Like I'm freaking out. But then, him and I had started talking, became friends. Like we'll hang out, and I thought about it in my mind. I'm like, yo, like, and we had talked about it. I was like, yo, I was bugging out like the first time I met you. Like it was just a crazy thing. And then, he's very humble about it. He's like, yeah, it was cool. And like, it was dope to meet you as well. But like in my mind, I was like, what was I really so fascinated by? And it was the work that drives him to be who he is. And so for me, that's what eases me, is like, okay, well, you're working hard as well. Like I'm saying this to myself. Yeah. I'm working as hard as I possibly can to get where I want to be. And I want people to revere that more so than, oh, look, it's just Ariea, or oh, look, it's just Sam Ellinger or Kerwin Roach. Like, look at everything they did to get there and follow that kind of mentality of being like, okay, I got to do everything in my power to be the best I can be.
Yeah, I think people get it really confused when they're looking at people that they admire as well. They kind of look at the finished product instead of what they actually put into getting to where they get. Exactly. And when you do that, you kind of, if you try to map someone from where they end up, you won't really get anywhere. But if you kind of look at what they did in the past and you try to copy that, then it's like you're more likely to, for sure, go down that trajectory. So I did hear a lot about, you walk around campus, I see you, and you talk a lot about people stopping you, taking photos, everything that's very surreal for you. But I do want to ask you a question that most people don't, is there any downside to having that much attention? I know I see you every time I see someone like taking pictures with you and like Greg and whatnot, I think to myself, if that was me during a workout, my workout would go from like an hour to like 2.5. So
well, I will say this. I'd say right now currently, I wouldn't even say right now currently, I say like if I ever get bigger than this moment right now, right, like if this is my pinnacle, or if I reach a higher mountaintop, wherever I go, like if this is it, or if I reach higher or get to where I really want to be at, no matter where that is, and just like a highest level of success for my life. Yeah. No, not at all. Like, I think every single person that is taking the time to come up to me and be like, yo, like, I respect what you do, or, yo, can we get a picture? For me, like, yeah, it is, don't get me wrong, it is so surreal, and it's like, why the hell do you want a picture with me? Like, are you kidding? With, like, this face? Like, are you kidding? But, like, for me, it's like every single person that is, you know, so willing to do that, I gotta give them my time and my respect.
Yeah, no, definitely.
And like that's how I always feel about it. No matter how long a workout may become, or like if I'm walking down the street, just to like, if I need to go to the co-op, get a textbook, 6 or 7 people come by and like, yo, can we get a picture? Absolutely. Like for me, like I would love to. I want to show people in the best way that I can. That I'm like, yo, I'm a person. You're a person. We're on the same playing field.
Yeah.
I'm really good at rapping. I cannot balance a checkbook. Like, you know what I mean? Like, someone else may be like, debits, credits, easy money. But for me, I'm like, yo, I can't do that. So I'm looking at them like, damn, like, this is so crazy that you can do this. And I feel like everybody has a talent in their own regard. And so for me, that's the most important thing. It's like, we're on the same playing field. We're good at different things. And it's okay. And just because mine may get some sort of recognition socially, it doesn't mean it's anything more special than what you can do, extrovert or introvert. It doesn't matter. For me, it's all on the same plane.
So you're kind of going across like the line where you're saying it's more about being self-aware of what you're good at, and then kind of doubling down on that, and then using that to propel yourself into.
Absolutely. Okay. Yeah.
Okay. Awesome. So you did talk about, you know, the attention and whatnot, but I do want to ask, like, do you have any advice for people? Because there are a lot of people that are going to listen to this and they're going to say, okay, I need to be self-aware of what I'm good at, right? And it, you know, if I listened to that advice about 2 years ago, I'd be like, I'm not good at anything. So if I did listen to it now, I'd be like, okay, I need to do this and this. But what advice do you have for people that are on the edge of kind of jumping into their craft or their passion, but they just haven't committed yet?
You have to. Like, it's one of those things where the best advice that I could give somebody is, if you don't know what you're good at, continuously work on what you love. If you don't love anything, find something you love to do. If you don't love anything, like love doing anything, then you're just chilling on your couch. Like, that's literally it.
Yeah.
So like, there's something that every single person, at least in my opinion, every single person in this world loves to do, or like fantasizes doing. Like, man, like how dope would it be to be an astronaut, for example, right? And so for me, it's figuring out what you love and put every ounce of your, like, you know, mental state, physical state, whatever it is, into what you love, and just continuously push it. It doesn't matter. There are people, and I will say this openly on the record, there are people that go to this campus that may not get as much recognition on Twitter than I do, 100 times better than me. I'll say that hands down.
Yeah.
My mentality was never, I need to be the best at something. My mentality was always, I need to be the best for myself at something.
Yeah.
Because that's where you're content. Think about it like this. I'm in the same pool right now of rapping. Like, if you want, like, I'll consider myself making music. I like to rap, i.e., I'm a rapper.
Yeah.
I'm in the same pool as Drake. Do I think I will ever be as great as Drake? Absolutely not. Not an ounce of my body, but that was never my mentality.
Yeah.
My mentality is to beat me. Every single day I need to beat myself from yesterday, and if I do that, I will continuously grow. If I don't, then I need to figure out where I'm lacking or where I'm faltering, and then I'll work on that. Because it's all about self-reflection, and if you don't look at yourself and say, okay, what am I good at, what am I not good at, then you'll never know what you want to be.
Okay,
so that's the biggest thing, self-reflection.
Okay, so let me be the devil's advocate real quick. Not everyone, you know, like, you did make a rap video, you put it out there, it popped off, right?
Right.
Definitely, you put a lot of work into getting to where you are. I'm never going to take that away from you. But there is going to be someone out there that is going to look at this and say, you know, not everyone's going to have that one-hit wonder, right? Like, right when they begin. So it takes, in order for someone to really double down and just, like, go straight at what they love, they have to obviously sacrifice a lot of things. And that includes, you know, like, obviously financial stuff. Like, if some sort of pathway is providing you with financial stability, right? But the thing that you love and the thing that you're passionate about isn't doing so right now, what would you say is kind of like the path? Like, what is the way to think about that, and how to kind of pursue the passion that you want to, like, actually get into?
Right. Well, I think it's very important to do research. I think it's very important to see how other people succeeded, and not to take, like, a complete copy paste version of what someone else is doing. Like, I can't do what Lil Pump did. You know what I mean? Like, I can't dread my hair, dye it, go out, scream Gucci Gang, and then get $100 million on a contract. Yeah. I can't do that but I researched that. I'm like, okay, well, I'll take a little bit of that, and I'll see, okay, that's hard-hitting production or something. And then I'll take Q-Tip from Tribe Called Quest. He had a very rhythmic flow, so I'm taking a little bit of that. I'll see what I can do with that. And mold everything that I see in this entire genre, see that, take it for what it is, or even sports writers. Like, for example, Stephen A. Smith is so bombastic, everyone loves him or hates him, but he's still well-known. So I take a little bit of that. I need to be more confident. And you just study things. So I'll study everything on the board on what I love to do, and I'll take pieces of what I see as successful, and then I'll try and mold my own version that's best suited to me. So that way, I think the biggest thing, and this is the thing that you don't even have to like fully commit to, but if you just research it and just see, okay, what are these people doing that I maybe could do, maybe I shouldn't do, the pitfalls, the trials and tribulations, whatever it is, research that and figure out how you can make that applicable to yourself. And once you do that, I feel like it's much easier to have a game plan and a mapped out road to do something.
Okay. And so I guess that only leaves like one last question then, and that's what's next for you?
Oh my God, bro. I hate when people ask me this question because I don't know. I'm totally kidding. It's, you know what? But it's a very good question to ask, because I think for me, the biggest thing that's next for me is, like I said, is just beating myself from yesterday. So if I wrote a track today that I really liked, tomorrow, whatever it is, and I did this with my raps all the time. As soon as I'd post a Twitter rap, no matter how much recognition it did get or didn't get, whatever the case was, as soon as I'd post one, I'm like, all right, what's the next one? Okay. So my biggest thing of what's next is, what can I do tomorrow that I did not do today that could propel me to that next level? Okay. So I think if I had to give you like a definite answer, I did hint at it earlier. By the time this drops, it wouldn't even matter, but shout out Cardi B. Shout out Cardi B. So I'm working on something like that. I'm working on a project with a very good friend of mine, musically, and we're going to collaborate together and work on something, and hopefully that'll be out by December. Okay. And, you know, I'm still writing a lot for, you know, Texas media. And so, I mean, there's a lot that I am doing that I love to do. But the thing that's next for me is beating myself yesterday. Okay. And so, like, this is just out of my own curiosity. You know, when you start, like, propelling this, like, quickly in the thing that you love, a lot of people go towards the route of, you know, hey, should I start pursuing this? Not full-time per se, but kind of focus all my attention on it, because even though you say that, you know, you have to double down on it and pursue it endlessly, the truth is that you're still a student, right? Like, you're doing this all like while balancing schoolwork. Yes. So has it ever occurred to you to, you know, maybe drop out and kind of pursue this full time? HELLNO, not a dude. Why not? Okay, so I love this line by Drake. It's, rappers and athletes are so synonymous because we want to be them and they want to be us. Yeah. So I'd always put my perspective as an athlete. Yeah. And I always see these horror stories of athletes that had it all in college and pursued. I mean, for a lot of these athletes, they are taken away from a lot of these classes that people should take, or whether it be financial advising, they're never given that. All they're given is, hey, you're 4 years here, you're a stud, we love you on Twitter, you get verified, everything's dope, boom, you're done. If you don't make it to the NFL, if you don't make it to the NBA, or the MLB, whatever the case is, whatever that professional level is, what are you doing? And, like, you may have a degree, but did you really focus on that degree? And I'm not saying, like, focus on everything. Or, like, when I say put your all into everything, that doesn't mean, like, disregard everybody else, like, disregard your school, education. Of course, yeah. So education was always so important to me because I had seen these horror stories from athletes or even artists that, you know, pursued something And if they get an injury or if something happens to me, whatever the case may be, you can never you can take away my lyrics, you can take away everything. You can't take away my degree, baby. That's mine. So I would never in a million years tell someone to discontinue education. I feel like education is a very important aspect of life because that's how the world revolves. Just like I'm saying with music, like it's not like you just hop on stage and rap like Eminem. Like you need to research this stuff.
Yeah.
So even music itself, something that's so fun to do, put your time and study it just like you study, Econ 101, whatever the case is. But you got to put your time into it. And so, no, I'd never drop out, never advise anybody to drop out unless, you know what, I'll say one thing and one thing only, if any.
This one is
right here. If any of you A&Rs are looking, if you want to send me a contract, we can talk.
How much do you need to make that decision?
I need my tuition plus some and then some, okay? You need to make me feel financially stable. And, you know what?
Even for the next 10 years.
No, because Tay Keith, the producer, the rapping producer,
yeah,
he's still in college right now. Tay Keith is getting a lot of money. Tay Keith, I respect you. I'm doing the same. You know what? No contractual agreement. My degree is my degree. I'm going to get that degree. And yes, I strongly advise everybody, even if you don't love education, it's a very important aspect of life. Pursue that, finish that, understand it. So that way, even if something in your life doesn't work out, you'll always be able to fall back on your education.
That's very admirable. Yeah. Okay, so where should they find you, Ariea? Like, where should they? What is coming up that they need to pay attention to?
Well, I just released an EP.
Okay.
It's doing very well on iTunes, not too well on Spotify. If you have Spotify, please listen to it, guys.
I actually do have Spotify.
Please listen to it on Spotify, guys. I just released the second EP. I think it's very, very, obviously I have to toot my horn on this one. I think it's much better, leaps and bounds better than anything I've ever done before.
Okay. What makes it different?
Production value, I think is a very important thing. My appeal to rap has become much different in the last year. Like my appeal to rap prior to was like, this is just something fun, messing around. But now it's like, okay, well maybe I can get somewhere with this. And if I do, that's amazing. But if I don't, and I just committed all this time to it, like it's that same question, like then what?
Yeah.
And so
it's more calculated now.
It's a little more calculated. It's a lot more of me delving into my personality, who I am, what I like to do, what if this doesn't work out, then who am I as a person? Like all of this stuff that I think is very important for people to self-reflect and think about what they're doing on a day-to-day basis. And I touch on that. And I also spit some pretty good bars, y'all. Like I got some dope rhymes.
I can attest to that. I
appreciate it, man. But that, and then I'm working on another project. It should be out in December. Just Ariea_Bastami, y'all. ARIEA_BASTAMI. That's where you can find me on everything.
Okay, awesome. Well, that's all the time we have. Thank you so much for coming on. Again, guys, this is Crushing It, a podcast dedicated to showcasing individuals that allows you to watch this and kind of draw inspiration from it and pursue your own passion. Check out Aria's EP. Support this guy. We've seen him just grow massively over the past year, and I really appreciate you coming on. Thank you so much,
man. Appreciate you for having me, bro. Thank you.
Yeah, no worries.
29 minutes.
I know. I was looking at that.